Good morning, Andrew. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you, Sam. How the devil are you today?
I'm all right. How, did you stay up super late to get absolutely covered in blood and guts?
All the blood and guts. It took me a while to wash off all the entrails, Sam. What about you?
I didn't quite catch all of it, so I'm gonna double back around to it today. But I caught everything that was important before I came in. So I guess without any further ado, we should have a look at some lovely wrestling news headlines. An NXT Superstar takes shot at AEW for the Blood and Guts match finish. We've got an update on the live crowd situation and some confirmed title matches for AEW Double or Nothing. And could a former WWE superstar be about to step into the boxing ring? Find out in just a bit. So, as we said in the intro there, it was AEW Blood and Guts last night, wasn't it, Andrew? How did you find it?
It was brutal. It was really good. I enjoyed it a lot. Like, it's nice to see AEW do the sort of like the War Games thing. They did it really well too. Like, we've been waiting for this for a while, and they did a really good job. I think they pulled it off like very nicely.
One thing, though, that seems to be the sticking point with a lot of people is the finishing angle of the whole match. Do you want to tell everybody what happened?
Yeah, so basically, like, towards the end of the match, you've got MJF and Chris Jericho. They're up on the top of the cage, and the whole sort of controversial thing is how MJF, he pushes Chris Jericho off the top of the cage. He falls down onto as I think JR called it, the concrete, which happened to be sort of, it was like a crash mat through some sort of like plywood-looking steel things, and basically everybody seems to be kicking off about how it didn't look fantastic. It looked like Jericho just fell onto a crash mat and stuff. And, you know, let's not kill a man on TV.
That's one thing, but there was a reaction from the other side of the fence. So Shotzi Blackheart, following the conclusion of the match, tweeted out a little gif of a woman falling comfortably back into bed, just kind of taking a shot at that situation there, which I think was just a little bit tone deaf, given that, you know, a wrestler above anybody else should know how dangerous a spot like that is, even if there is crash pads involved and stuff. But at the end of the day, I think it's, as you brought up as well, you kind of touched on it, it's weird that, you know, the company could have gone a lot more dangerous with it. It would have been, you know, they could have put Jericho through several tables to break his fall, which I imagine would have sucked a lot more. But just, I don't know, the fans booed it. They booed it.
Which that is the thing that sort of like that shocks me the most. I understand people when they pay for a ticket and whatnot, and they want to see something.
We were promised blood and guts.
Yeah, exactly, right. They want to see more of like just something a bit more shocking, I guess. But then at the same time, you have to take into the account that Chris Jericho is 50 years old. Yeah. And he's taken a bump like that is still a big deal. Like, that was high.
For a 20-year-old, that bump's going to suck.
Exactly. And like, even when he lands, he still gets like, you know, the shock and stuff, and it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt no matter what. And like, just cut him some slack. Cut them some slack.
You can't go off on the company over the Matt Hardy situation for it being too dangerous, and then over about this. For it being too safe. It's just, I don't know, you know, it could have been presented in a better way, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, the concrete side of it, maybe the camera angle wasn't too favorable. The lingering camera shots where you saw you know, all of the padding and everything, but what else are they going to do? It's live TV.
Exactly. I agree. And I think for sort of, for Shotzi to post that as well, after some of the dives and stuff that she's been doing that just look really unsafe and look like, I'd rather see a wrestler on the next week's episode of TV rather than have to have them go out for like a month or two with an injury. So, yeah.
Absolutely. So on the point of AEW, next up on the block is AEW Double or Nothing 2021. And, there's speculation around, how big is the crowd going to be, what's going to be happening. The world seems to be returning more and more to normal, hurtling dangerously close to normal day by day. But apparently the next AEW pay-per-view will be coming from Daly's Place, from Jacksonville, Florida on May 30th, my birthday.
Whoa!
That's right. Whoa!
No way!
But Tony Khan appeared on Busted Open Radio to say it will be taking place in front of a full house.
Woo.
Completely full.
Woo.
5,500 people. It'll be the largest crowd in wrestling, I believe, since WrestleMania 37, and it'll be the largest crowd AEW have had for a considerable amount of time, given the pandemic and everything else. It's exciting, but a little bit nervous. It's making me a bit nervous. Yeah,
a little bit. It does feel like, obviously, after so long of not seeing crowds and stuff at wrestling events, for things to finally start getting back to normal again does just feel normal doesn't feel right yet. Like,
no,
it still feels like we've got a while to go. But I want to note as well that our resident news hound Aiden, he put in the Slack chat, he said that this whole weekend they're going to make this into like a weekend event. So we've got a live TNT event on the Friday, and then a fan fest on the Saturday, and then obviously blooming. He's got it. Double or nothing on the Sunday. We'll get there in the end. We'll get there.
Double or guts. Blood or nothing.
Guts. Yeah, I was going to say that then, actually. But yeah, no, it should be cool. And again, it's just nice to see sort of crowds get back into these places, and it just adds so much more to the event. Like the Blood and Guts thing last night, I think the crowd really did a good job of, apart from obviously booing the ending, they did a good job of like getting us all excited for what was going on. So it is really cool to see.
Absolutely. But on the point of Double or Nothing, while we're talking about it, it was announced last night on Dynamite that AEW Women's Champion Hikaru Shida will defend her title against Britt Baker at the show. And apparently next week there's going to be a title match decider, Pac versus Cassidy. And Pac won their last time they met up at Revolution. You got any hot takes on what's going to happen with that one? Do you think it's time for Orange Cassidy to get that little bit of elevation there?
That little bit. Well, I mean, one thing I know for sure, Sam, is that there's going to be some brutal shin shots going on.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's going to be absolute murder. But I mean, the show, with it being first time back in front of a live crowd, you've got to expect they're going to pull out all the stops. Like first time, well, I said in front of a live crowd, I mean a full live crowd.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got to assume it's going to be a night of real celebration. So fingers crossed the card continues to develop and grow in a way that, it's just must-see TV. Must-see TV. So, Andrew, right now, all the rage. Somebody comes up to you and like, Andrew, you work on YouTube. I'll give you so much money. Let's have a boxing fight. Would you do it?
I mean, this is a story, right? This is a quick story. When I was younger and I needed some money for my telephone so I could get get some Habbo Hotel furniture, right? I don't know why. I let my friend punch me in the face for £10. And I did it. So yes, I would do it, Sam. I would absolutely do it. I'd get knocked out for 30 quid. Do it. Come on.
Oh my. Well, it's somebody who isn't particularly known on the YouTubes, but is known for being a WWE superstar, or at least a former WWE superstar, is Kalisto. And Kalisto is teasing a potential jaunt into the boxing arena. I have no idea why this is so kind of amusing to me. He's in real good shape.
Yeah.
I guess it just never really crossed my mind that we may one day see Kalisto in a boxing ring.
I think that's the last thing you'd sort of think. Maybe you'd think, he'll go off to a promotion in Mexico and wrestle there, not like step in between the boxing ropes. Like, I don't really know how it's gonna go. Sometimes we see people cross over into like MMA and stuff and it works out well for them, and then other times we see these things just not quite work out so well for people. But with Kalisto being, I think I was reading up on like his Wikipedia page, see if he had any sort of like prior boxing experience, and I think he's got like jiu-jitsu and taekwondo and stuff, so he knows sort of like combat and I guess how to, and he has
the martial art like mentality.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. So maybe this will actually work in his favor, and he'll be the new Mike Tyson.
Well, the news came from a short teaser that he posted to his social media channels, and it, as we've said, indicates that he's going to be stepping into a boxing ring, and it was accompanied by the hashtags #gloat, #Triller, and #Boxeo. And also, Sasha Banks shared this video as well, but Kalisto is reverting to his pre-WWE name of Samurai del Sol. So, anything could happen. Anything could happen in the World Boxing Federation.
Yes!
And finally, a wrestling legend has outlined their terrible COVID-19 experience. The wrestler is Tommy Dreamer, and on the latest House of Hardcore podcast, he revealed that he tested positive for COVID-19 while in Alaska for an independent booking. He worked 2 matches for the WrestlePro group on April 9th and 10th, facing off against Shane Douglas and Sami Callihan. However, a wrestler who he'd shared a car with tested positive, and this led to Dreamer catching the virus. Now, apparently, he says it was the most sick he's ever been in his life, and said it was similar to having a non-stop concussion for like 17 days with a throbbing pain in his head. We had high fever, he had chills, fatigue, and other severe symptoms, and he ended up giving it to his wife and daughter. It's just a reminder to really stay safe out there. It's, just because everything's turning around and vaccines are rolling out doesn't mean it's gone away, doesn't mean there's any less risk, and we do need to be just as careful as ever. The sad thing is that I think this will mar what was supposed to be a pretty joyous occasion for Tommy Dreamer, because I believe I saw him sharing this on his socials, that Alaska was the final state he had to wrestle in.
Yeah.
And so he finally completed all 50 states, and he gets COVID to mark the occasion.
Bless him. I think what you were saying was right, in that even though things are starting to get back to normal, we're seeing crowds come back and everything. I guess we still can't get complacent just yet. We're not like completely out of the weeds of everything. So as long as you look after yourself, wear your mask and stay safe, and make sure you're keeping others around you safe as well, like that's all you can do. But bless him for doing that being like his final thing, and then getting COVID, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I just wish him nothing but the best. I hope he's feeling much better soon.
He says that he's not going to be wrestling on any indie shows until he's fully vaccinated, and he's also said that those who test positive need to inform promoters and talent and anybody they may have been in contact with, which is just common courtesy. So, fingers crossed, Tommy Dreamer rests up and just chills out, and he'll be all right. But yeah, it's just scary times, isn't it?
It is. It really is. It really is scary times. But yes, come on, Tommy Dreamer. You can do. If anyone can beat it, it's you, Tommy Dreamer.
But that is it for our first round of daily wrestling news. We'll be back in just a little bit with all the other latest headlines, and just don't go anywhere. Just check out a few videos on the channel for a couple of hours, and then you'll see it. You'll be right there. You might be the person that gets to jump in and type first. Oh, the heat is on. The heat is on.